Mountain, Island, Lightning Bolt, Spell Pierce, Switchblade, Stab Wound, Red Mage, Blue Mage.
Oh, my belly.
So full of food.
He's so full of food. That's how the podcast starts, right?
Yeah. That's
Oh, my
definitely going in.
belly.
Hey, everybody. I'm Kenny, and I play blue cards.
Hi, and I'm Amber, and I play red cards.
And this is a Red Mage, Blue Mage.
Woo!
Welcome. How's it going, Amber?
I'm full of meats and cheeses.
Yes, we've covered that.
And I'm ready to talk about magic because we've not talked about magic in forever because we have a podcast now talking about magic.
We also just haven't really got a chance to catch up on magic in the meantime.
Mm-mm.
So, yeah, I thought we'd start there. Like, what kind of magic have you been playing recently?
Oh, so Allegiance just came out. Well, I mean, whenever this airs, it's probably been out for like a month or whatever. Yeah. But
time of recording just came out.
Yes. And so my house has procured a couple fat packs and have been opening them and looking at them and going, ooh, ah. But mostly what I've been doing recently is I haven't really gotten a lot of time to actually construct anything or try anything out because I've been busy. Mm-hmm. But back in December, when I was talking about how I got back into it because of all the great deals that were going on, we also got a like Friday night or a game night box, I guess is what it's called, which has 5 monocolor decks in it, pre-constructed. And it's supposed to be like a thing.
Do you pay for those, or do they just give them out?
No, you have to pay for it. It was like I got it for free because of the deal, but
sure.
It's basically a way to be like, hey, people who've never played Magic before, you want to try out, here's an experience. And
trying to distill down kind of what these colors are about.
Yeah, exactly. And they're actually really good decks. And my favorite is the black deck in there, which I've sent you snaps of me playing it.
Yes.
Making zombies, buffing zombies.
Littered with tokens.
Reassembling skeleton. My poor abused reassembling
Your poor
skeleton.
Beleaguered. Do you do voices for him?
Yeah, it's like, no, not again.
Let me die.
Let me live here. I can't do this again. Like, get in there, bitch. So that's been most of what I've been playing, and recently Brandon has been trying to build an undergrowth deck, and so I basically have just been...
From the previous set.
Yes, from Ravnica Guilds. And so he's been building that, and I've been kind of just using all these pre-constructed decks to have him test his deck out. And he's actually doing really, really good. I can't remember what he swapped out recently, but it was I was testing my mono black deck against Undergrowth, and then I think he noticed Stitcher's Supplier in it, and was like, holy... I need this card.
The synergies.
Yeah, because it's like 1 black mana, and it's like 1/1 creature, I think. I can't remember. And basically, when it comes into the battlefield, it's discard 3 cards off the top of your library, and then when it leaves the battlefield, you also discard 3. So it's like, for an Undergrowth deck, that's
Which is
fantastic.
what the deck wants to do.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And so he's been, he actually put it into Arena, and he's been kicking ass with it, so.
Nice. Mm-hmm. So what do you enjoy about that black deck?
It feels like every time I sat down to play with it, what it's supposed to do happens.
It's very consistent.
It's very consistently. I'm able to, get out a cheap creature, get stuff into the graveyard. One of the enchantments in it is Liliana's Mastery, which creates 2/2 black zombie. Yeah, so that's amazing. There's also what's the Baron's name?
Death Baron.
I forget Death. Anyway, so yeah, he's in there
with some juicy Niels Hom art on it.
Mm-hmm. And so basically, it's just making tons of tokens and then buffing the shit out of them. Because I mean, every time I've played, I've gotten to the point where I've had like 4 black zombies out there, which is crazy. And then if I had, the only thing I would probably change in it is if it had Well, it has Menace, but Death Touch would be good.
It's pretty sweet. Yeah, you were sending me snaps of playing that deck originally, and I was like, oh man, there's some Innistrad cards that you would absolutely love.
I know, because black is my second favorite.
Your Rakdos.
It's weird. I flip between red, white, and red, black. So
I feel like red, white fits your like aggressive playstyle more, and Rakdos is more of a philosophical thing.
Actually, we were playing
of wanton destruction.
So Brandon put together some like out of the boosters we got, some quick like 40 card like I just want to make a deck that represents the guilds that came out. Mm-hmm. And so I went for the Rakdos one, and I played it just to get a feel of it. And honestly, I'm not sure I like it. It's
really?
Yeah, because it's like they have the spectacle, right? This
right.
ability.
Gives you a different cost if you've dealt damage this turn.
Yeah, but it's usually
lost life this turn.
Yeah, but it costs more, so it's not. It costs
depends.
less.
There's some that give you a discount, and there's some that give you a more expensive option that will give you some bonus effect.
Right,
and that gives you a kicker effect, basically.
Okay, but like for me, I mean, of course, it wasn't really a well built deck. It was just like a sampler ladder, essentially. Sure. Tour of Rakdos, but.
Welcome to lovely Rakdos. On the right, you'll see a cage with a demon eating 10 people.
And a juggler juggling with flaming skulls.
Babies.
Babies. Actually, it's way better. Yeah, babies. That are also juggling kittens that are on fire as well. Juggling. Yes. Hire me magic. Hire me Wizards of the Coast.
For art direction.
Yes, exactly. But no, so I didn't like the feel of it, but I think it's because I didn't have like things that were causing damage so I could pay the spectacle cost, and it just felt like I wasn't doing anything. So
it feels like you definitely need some enablers for spectacle to work. You need something that can just reliably tick for at least one damage every turn.
Yep.
Like something that can tap and do a damage, or that just passively does a damage.
Yep.
You just want it to always be on.
Yep. Okay, that's my magic stuff.
Well, I got to do some cube drafting this weekend, which is what we discussed before, my favorite way to play. Mm-hmm. So to recap, for those that didn't listen previously, so cube is a pre-made collection of cards that the cube owner puts together. And instead of drafting out of, pre-made 15 card booster packs that Wizards puts out, you just make random collections of 15 cards. And your cube can have any sort of theme that you want. Most cubes, mine included, is just kind of all the greatest hits of Magic the Gathering, just powerful cards from Magic's history with some, spice thrown in maybe. But you can do anything with cube. There are like pauper cubes, which are made of all commons, which is pretty cool. Mm-hmm.
Which I learned that pauper also means like if it's ever been a common.
Yes.
Right. So it can have some uncommons in there.
Right. And Eternal Masters was a big deal for Pauper because they printed a lot of cards in common for the first time, like some powerful cards that now Pauper gets to play with. Mm-hmm. But so there are lots of different cube variations, and mine is a greatest hits of Magic cube. I used to have the Power 9 in there. It used to be a powered cube, but I've taken them out just for balance reasons, almost all of the Power 9. But I got a chance to play this weekend with my brother and his fiance. My brother played Magic with me when we first started playing, and he's also gotten back into it fairly recently, which is hilarious. Mm-hmm. And his fiance is playing for the first time. I bought as a gift for them some starter decks, some Planeswalker decks that they've messed around with, and Veronica, my brother's, God damn it. And my brother's fiance just wanted to dive right into cube drafting. So we did that. We've done it a couple of times. She really enjoys it. She especially loves picking out the cards, but she's very much like me, where if she loses, she'll get very mad at herself and everything, even though like logically there's no reason why you should be able to beat someone who's been playing for, a decade
or more.
Exactly. Yeah. Like why should you be able to? But I get it, because I would be the same way. But anyway, so we drafted, and the deck that I put together is one of my favorite archetypes in the cube, which is Super Friends. You just draft as many planeswalkers as you can get your hands on and run a bunch of removal spells. So it was blue, black. Did I splash any white? I think it was blue, black, splash white planeswalkers. And so my only win conditions were planeswalkers. I had Ob Nixilis Reignited, who his ultimate makes it so that your opponent gets an emblem every time they draw a card. Anybody draws a card, they lose 2 life. So that was one way that I won the game. And even better, Ashiok, Nightmare Weaver, old half head. He exiles your opponent's library 3 cards at a time.
I'm laughing because all the names out of context are just so ridiculous, and they make me laugh. But anyway, I remember you sending a snap of, I think, your brother's fiance, where she's like, had like only 3 cards left.
Yes.
In her library.
She was down to it. She had a really good play, though, because I thought she was dead to rights. I had exiled the last cards of her library and it went to her turn. And I was like, good game. And she's like, no. And she's like, can I sacrifice this? And she had an artifact called Elixir of Immortality, which shuffles it and your graveyard back into your library. So she bought herself like 6 more turns by doing that. And I was like, okay.
All right,
good
smart
play. You've prolonged your death. I like that. I like when they've got some fight in them. It's like the cat. I like to see the mouse, squirm back to life for a moment. Toss it in the air.
Okay. Wow. So that's your magic. It's time. It's time, Kenny.
What time?
Time to pick a card.
Pick a card. You son of a bitch.
Oh!
I did it.
Bwah, 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 bwah.
I give it up. I take it back. I give it up. No, it's mine.
It is yours. And this was your episode to pick the prompt for pick a card.
Yes, I did. And so what I want to know today is, what to you is the best mechanic in Magic? And by best, we're changing this now to our top 3, because there's no way in hell we could just narrow it down to 1. And
we already were doing a top 3 even before it was a top 3.
Let me tell you my pick, but also my 2 runner-ups.
Yeah.
But anyway, and when I say mechanic, I mean basically the key ability, like an ability a card can do.
Right.
And then also
keyworded abilities.
Yes. And then so once you pick your top 3, also what are cards that best represent, or like a good representation of that mechanic or key ability,
or just a sweet card that you like from that mechanic.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. And I thought it would be interesting too. Like I like this segment just because I like hearing how each of us interprets the prompt too.
Yeah.
Like what your criteria was for best mechanic. Do you want me to start?
Yes, I do. But the way I want to do it is tell your mechanic, your first one, and then also then the card that you chose.
So we'll do both at once. Okay.
So that we can just trade back and forth. Will that be okay?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so my number 3 pick is Imprint.
Oh, you're doing it backwards.
I'm going to go up to number 1. Have you never done a top
I'm gonna build the other way.
What? So you're going to pick your worst one comes last?
Well, it's because it's a build-up. Okay, you do your way, I do my way, and then we'll just have a nice...
Wait. No, I want to think about... So you're saying your first one you're going to reveal is your favorite?
No, the first one I'm going to reveal is... Wait, I'm so confused right now.
Isn't that what I said?
It's been a long day. Wow.
Okay, so we are doing the same thing. Number 3, number 2, number 1.
Yes.
Number 3 being the third favorite.
Yes.
Whew.
Whew.
Okay.
Don't listen to me.
So Imprint is an ability. Basically what Imprint does is it first popped up in Mirrodin, was the original set it debuted in, but it's appeared elsewhere since then. What it does is it appears on permanents, and when the permanent enters the battlefield, you imprint some other card onto it. And that might happen by exiling a card from your hand. It might happen by exiling some other card on the battlefield, but that card gets basically attached to, imprinted onto that card. And then the card will do something with it. And it might be something like it will add a mana of that card's color, or it might do something like its power and toughness becomes the imprinted card's power and toughness. One thing I really like about this mechanic is how wide the design space is within it, because it can, in principle, it can appear on any old permanent. It appears on artifacts most often because Mirrodin was the artifact set, but you can put it on anything. It's appeared on just regular creatures. You could put it on enchantments. There's no reason it couldn't be. It could appear on lands, I suppose. There's no reason that couldn't happen too. So it's very flexible, and the effect can be anything based on the imprinted card. So there's all kinds of wild shit that they can do with the design. And the card that I like best to represent that is a card called Isochron Scepter. So this is 2 colorless mana for an artifact. It has imprint. When Isochron Scepter enters the battlefield, you may exile an instant card with converted mana cost 2 or less from your hand. And then it has 2 tap. You may copy the exiled card. If you do, you may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. So it takes a 2 mana or less instant from your hand and puts it on a stick that you can continually whack somebody with.
A wand of whatever.
Yes, exactly. It can be a wand of Counterspell. It can be a wand of Doomblade. It can be a wand of Lightning Bolt.
Yes. That's good.
You like that one?
That one's better. How about... Yeah, that one's good.
I figured you would like, wand of Doomblade. Just kill a creature every turn.
I mean, I'd rather kill a person.
You gotta do damage to somebody's face.
Yeah, I want to.
You're a simple creature.
Wait till you hear my third pick.
Yeah. So yeah, let's just get into it. What is your number 3?
So
your number 1? I don't know how your fucking order works. Let's start with your middle pick, actually.
You know what? Shut up, and we'll just listen to what I have to say.
Okay.
So I know how earlier episodes we've talked about how I try not to deal with the battlefield, which is hilarious because a lot of these ones I picked all have to deal with actual battling, and it's so simple, and I feel so stupid and it's so silly, but it just goes with my playstyle. So obviously the first one I chose is haste. Or my third pick is haste.
My third pick, which is my first pick.
Which is the closest to my heart, actually. Yeah. And it's going to be a theme. They're all going to be stupid simple. So don't get your hopes up and be like, oh, Amber's going to be something amazing at the end. No, you're going to be disappointed the entire time.
I'm really not judging, though. So can I interject with one thing here?
Yes.
So Indestructible almost made my list at number 3.
Boring.
Very simple, and that's kind of why I cut it out, but it really does have a place near and dear to my heart for the same reason. I also considered flying because I just think it's a really well-made mechanic. So I don't think it's shameful that you chose haste as your... I wouldn't expect anything less.
So, I mean, I'm assuming...
I'm going to try to guess your other 2 mechanics.
So, I'm sure people listening know what haste is, but for maybe the new people, I don't know. I assume everybody knows what haste is, but it's just when you summon a creature, it usually has summoning sickness, so you can't do anything on the first time it comes out, and haste just removes that. You
can't attack. You can't tap it for an ability.
No. So haste just gets rid of that, which is again my playstyle. It's if I'm going to throw a creature out there, I want to be able to use it immediately.
Right.
And so what I chose for that card, which I love, it's just Legion Loyalist, which is a 1 red mana goblin. He's a soldier. Okay, so, but on top of him having haste, which is great, he also has Battalion. So whenever Legion Loyalist and at least 2 other creatures attack, creatures you control gain first strike and trample until end of turn and can't be blocked by creature tokens this turn. So to me, this is a very, very good haste creature, just because also it has that Battalion as well.
Totally.
Which I also considered first strike or double strike as one of mine, but...
Okay, so double strike was going to be one of my guesses for a future one. So that's off the list now.
Yep.
I appreciate this submission from you. I feel like when you were getting back into it, as you've said before, you missed this whole block of cards, tons and tons of cards that have been introduced in the meantime. Mm-hmm. Goblin Guide, I think I showed you long ago. Just a 1 red mana, 2/2 haster. It has a drawback that you don't really care about as the red player, but 2/2 haste for 1 mana. Mwah.
He is delicious.
Yummy, yummy.
So yeah, so
That's
this one it's 1-1, but because of battalion, and what that does is like
You like it juicing up the whole squad when they slam in there.
Yep.
I can respect that. Okay, so man, now I have to try and guess what these other two cards are. They got simple aggro mechanics. All right, I'll think about it. Okay, so ability number 2 for me, which is number 2 no matter how you slice it, if you go forwards or backwards. This is an ability that also, I'm just now realizing, debuted in one of the Mirrodin blocks. This came out in the second Mirrodin block, Scars of Mirrodin. And that set the Phyrexian side of things. So the Phyrexians are invading Mirrodin, and they have their own mechanic, which is Infect. That's not the one I chose. But Infect is an ability that creatures have where they slowly weaken creatures that they attack. And instead of dealing damage to players, they deal poison counters. And if you take 10 poison counters, you lose. But that's not the one I chose. The ability I chose was their other keyword ability, which was Proliferate. So Proliferate, go ahead.
Nothing.
What are you thinking? What's tickling you?
I like imagine like you, this like really well drawn like picture, and then there's me with like a crayon. It's like an angry stick figure.
That sounds like good fan art, I think, that one of us might create at some point.
Maybe.
Of the red mage with like a horribly scrawled stick figure. It's made to look like the blue mage.
There you go. All right, continue with Proliferate.
Proliferate. So when you proliferate, you choose any number of permanents and or players with counters on them, and then you give each another counter of a kind already there. So basically, you look at the battlefield, you look at all the permanents, you look at the players, anything that has a counter of any kind on it, you can add one more of those counters. So the obvious synergy with Infect was, if you've already got a poison counter on a player, Proliferate lets you put another poison counter on them. But this works with any kind of counter. If you've got +1/+1 counters on there, more of them. You can appreciate that, right?
To be honest, I'm just hearing words. I don't know how I heard poison tokens at one point.
Yes.
And that's all I remember. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. We can go to yours now. No, we're not going to yours yet. I haven't told you about my card.
Oh, fuck. We don't need to hear about it. I can talk about mine.
Okay.
No, what is it? Tell me it.
You'll like it. No, you won't like it.
I won't like it.
Pun.
I'm already opening it.
So it's a card called Thrumming Bird.
You're talking to the person who made Scranberries in their campaign. So I think we're okay.
Yes, but when it comes to puns, it's a coin flip with you whether you love it or hate it, I feel like.
I love
guess
all
that's
of
puns in
them.
general.
That's everything. Okay.
You love them all, but some of them you can't allow yourself to love.
What?
Puns.
Oh, I'm looking at the card.
Okay. So Thrumming Bird. Thrumming Bird is 1 in a blue for a creature, a bird horror. It is a 1/1 flyer, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, proliferate. So you can add counters to anything that already has a counter on it.
Gotcha.
So this card, the thing that I find cool about proliferate, one is that, again, it's super flexible. It can appear on pretty much any card. Mm-hmm. It appears on creatures like this one. It appeared on artifacts that just let you proliferate over and over again. It appeared on instants and sorceries that let you proliferate. And it has a very high ceiling on how powerful it can be, because it just says proliferate, and how powerful that ability is depends on how many things you have out there that already have counters on them. You can buff your entire squad if you've got 1/1 counters. If your opponents have -1/-1 counters, you can increase the number of those. You can increase loyalty counters on your planeswalkers with proliferate. There's tons of applications.
That's ridiculous.
That you can throw out there. And I liked Thrumming Bird because it's such a cheap and repeatable way to get the proliferate effect. It's evasive, so it just flies over, pings for a damage, and you get the proliferate trigger. Mm-hmm. Yummy, yummy. So that's my number 2. Now I'm going to say your number 2 is mana.
you.
Okay, hit me.
Okay. So again, a theme that I'm building up to here. And I don't think I picked a very good card for it, but it's just a card that I picked that I would put into a deck of mine that I would build. Sure. So we have haste that takes away summoning sickness.
Yes.
So immediately think about what's the next awful thing that happens to creatures.
They die.
Well, right before that.
They
What makes
tap.
them useless? Yes.
So vigilance.
So vigilant. Look, I just want them to be there and stay there and immediately be able to be useful. So I chose vigilance.
So you really are Boros.
Yes. And actually I chose a white card. It's an instant. It's not even a creature. So I chose Gideon's Phalanx. Honestly, it's just like one of those cards where I was like, what, Gideon? Don't smile like that.
What?
It's so simple and so stupid. But it's like the whole idea of like, if I'm going to be on the battlefield, I'm making the most efficient. How can I get more creatures out there? How can I make them fast? How can I make them, not tap? So Gideon's Phalanx is a 5 colors, 2 white. It's an instant. You put 4 2/2 white knight creature tokens with vigilance onto the battlefield as spell mastery. If there are 2 or more instant and or sorcerer cards in your graveyard, which there would be in my deck,
Definitely.
creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn.
Hey, like that.
Hey. So I really, really like the idea of this. Like if I was to build the deck that I'm thinking of building, which we can talk about later.
Yeah.
In another segment.
Yes.
Later.
Wink.
I will probably include this card.
Yeah, for sure. You know what I like about this card?
What?
Instant speed, baby. You can play this on your opponent's turn.
Yes.
You can drop some blockers on top. Indestructible blockers. You can eat up their creatures.
Yes. Exactly.
This is a sweet control card that you picked. I love it.
Yes.
Great blue card.
What?
This card is great in a blue deck.
Oh, gotcha. At least it was a great blue card. I was like, I don't know if your eyes can see.
It's secretly a blue card.
But it's white.
Yeah, that's a control color, though.
Okay.
I mean, come on. Let's be real.
So anyway, that's my second
Good pick.
choice.
I like it. I like that you're hitting the classics. Because I feel like these mechanics that you're talking about, you stop appreciate them when you've been playing Magic for a long time, but they're like the workhorses of the game.
Yeah.
And especially like when you're dealing with a new player, like I have recently, it's like, oh yeah, this is not just like something you automatically know, but you've just been dealing with it so long, you don't appreciate how it makes the game run.
Mm-hmm. I'm also a curmudgeonly old woman, so I don't deal well with newer things.
Your newfangled mechanics.
Yeah. Fucking proliferate. What the hell? All right.
Well then, boy, you're going to like my final mechanic.
I'm so excited. I can't wait to click on this link and look at it. Go for it.
My number one mechanic is a mechanic that was controversial when it first debuted in the game, and it's since become like a staple of the game. It very quickly became a deciduous mechanic. So you got evergreen mechanics, which are the ones that you've been talking about: haste, vigilance, flying, first strike. They appear in pretty much every single set. And then deciduous mechanics are mechanics that can appear in pretty much any set, but they won't appear in every single set. And this is one of them. It became one of them. It was that strong of a mechanic. And it is Transform, which debuted in Innistrad. It was controversial because for the first time they messed around with the backs of the cards. They printed on the back a new version, a transformed version of the card, that if you jump through some hoops on the front side of the card, you could transform it into the back of the card. This came about during Innistrad, the Gothic horror set, because transformation is such a key thing in Gothic horror of turning into the monster. And so they created it really so that they could do werewolves well, so that they could have these creatures that turned into their monstrous form. But very quickly, even in that set, it showed like how many things you could do with this mechanic. So you had humans who would turn into vampires when things happened to them. You had artifacts that would turn into like dark, more powerful versions of the artifacts when something happened. Later, the transform mechanic got used to show creatures transforming into planeswalkers. This was in Magic Origins. So you could see Chandra as she was as a young woman, and then she could transform into her planeswalker self after something traumatic and horrible happened to her. As previously discussed. But the thing I think is coolest about transform as a mechanic is how useful it is to tell a story. Like those planeswalkers are a good example, but the card I chose was Elbrus the Binding Blade, which is from original Innistrad. So this is an artifact, a legendary artifact equipment. It costs 7 mana, so much mana, but it has an equip cost of 1. It gives the equipped creature +1/+0, which is not awesome. But whenever the equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you unattach Elbrus, the Binding Blade, and transform it, and it turns into Withengar Unbound, which is a legendary demon, a 13/13 with flying, intimidate, and trample. And whenever a player loses the game, put 13 +1/+1 counters on Withengar Unbound. So I love how this card tells such a good story of this dagger that a demon has been trapped inside. And if it draws blood, if it tastes blood, the demon will be unleashed out of it. It's so cool. It's such effective storytelling on a card.
It is. I'm sorry. I like taking this all in and also compare. Like, I'm like seriously comparing right now, like what I chose, which is actually hilarious when we get to it. But this is really cool. I like this. I've never, you see, I'm not familiar with like a lot of these transforming cards. What?
They're really cool. They had, I was on the fence. There was another card I was thinking about from the most recent core set, which was a new Nicol Bolas card, which had showed him as his original creature form, transforming into his planeswalker form, which, I mean, I don't know. Now I'm saying it, I feel a little bit embarrassed that I had an opportunity to pick that as the transform card. I went with this. But this, I think, tells a better story about what causes the transformation.
Yes.
It's drawing blood.
Gotcha.
The Nicol Bolas card, you just pay a certain amount of mana and he transforms, which is good for simplicity's sake, but it doesn't tell that same evocative story. Okay. I'm very excited to hear this number one.
You know what it is already.
I don't think
you had to. I made an eyebrow tweak at you.
I missed it.
Don't hold on. Kenny, don't laugh at me. Kenny, stop laughing at me.
I did say it, didn't I?
You did say it. So don't stop laughing. I'm so like predictable.
I like the card you chose.
I told you it's all building to one. Okay. I'm a simple person with just like, I don't think complexly. It's just, how do I get the job done the quickest way? We already talked about this. So we already have haste and we already have vigilance. And so, yes, you did mention it early on. Flying, probably the simplest mechanic, but just so beautiful. Like, I remember I was watching a Mark Rosewater design talk. I think it was his game developer conference one, where he was talking about these key abilities and talking about how to convey things and how they do things. So I think your pick for that one, Transform, is a really good one. It really showcases what that is supposed to do.
It does what it says in the box.
Yes. And so flying, you don't have to explain it to anybody. Like a new person who sits down to play Magic, what is flying? Oh, you can't, they can't hit you because you're up in the air. The end. So all of your damage will go over because nobody can block you.
Yep.
And so to choose that, again, I was building a deck in my head as I was picking these cards, essentially. I chose, I believe it said Aurelia the War Leader, which is a 2 colorless, 2 red, 2 white legendary angel that has flying, vigilance, and haste.
The trifecta.
Yes. And also what I like about her is whenever Aurelia, the War Leader, attacks for the first time each turn, untap all creatures you control. After this phase, there is an additional combat phase.
You get to fly again.
And then everybody gets to murder again. And if all of my guys have vigilance Or if they have vigilance already, or the ones who don't even have vigilance or haste or anything. Mwah, good.
Might as well have vigilance.
Yes.
Get to attack again.
So, to hint on what I'm going to be constructing in the meantime, before our future segment, wink, wink.
Wink, wink, wink.
I'm literally going to make a Goblin Angel deck.
I can't wait to hear about this.
Oh, you'll get to see it, maybe.
I'll get to help construct it. Can we add some... There's Lightning Angel, which has its red, white, and blue, so we can maybe work some blue magic.
No. We're going to be pure red, white.
Okay.
Sorry, no room for blue.
We'll see. Okay.
But that's for later.
That's in the future, yeah.
Yes.
Also in the future, we've got more Pick a Card coming up in our next episode. And we've got our first ever debut of a new segment. And you'll just have to wait until then to hear about it.
A new one? You didn't tell me about it.
Spanking new.
I'm going to burp. Sorry. Cut that.
That's as good a note as any to end it on.
All right, bye.
No, we have to tell them where they can find us.
Oh, they could figure it out.
Yeah, they can. Because I'm going to tell them. You can email us at redmagebluemage@geekspective.com. On Twitter, we're at redbluemtg. And you can find me, Kenny, at Wolfmyr, VOLFMYR. You can find Amber at Rocket Orca.
Yeah, that's me.
And that's it. That's end of turn for us. I'll be representing Counterspell.
I've got the ball.
Bye.
Bye.